Now, Hawaii wants to keep President Trump off the 2024 ballot. That state is claiming he indicted the January 6th Capitol riots, or incited, I should say. Meanwhile, Maine's top court rejected an appeal of a lower court's decision to kick him off its ballot, meaning the U.S. Supreme Court will have to deal with that. Now, at least 35 states have some type of challenge to Donald Trump appearing on the ballot. And critics say the motivation is quite clear.
It's just another front that they've opened up against this candidacy. They will stop at nothing.
For all the people who are hoping that these decisions in Maine and Colorado are upheld, I would just say be careful what you wish for, because the potential for abuse is so obvious.
We need decisions to be made by judicial bodies following the rule of law with due process.
Potential for abuse? Why can't we just already say that the abuse is happening? Missouri Senator Josh Hawley on the Judiciary Committee, also on the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, Energy, Natural Resources, and Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committees. The busiest man on Capitol Hill today. Let's just break this down. If you're trying to keep a former president off the ballot, how is it not political? He hasn't been charged, convicted of anything that they are charging him with.
Yeah, it's 100% political, Harris, and this is nothing but election interference by Democrats who don't want voters to vote. Think about what they're saying here. They're telling voters, we don't want you to have the choice. We don't want you to be able to elect the president of your choice. We don't want you to even be able to weigh the options. We're going to take it away from you. We're going to decide beforehand who can be on the ballot, who can't, who can be president, who can't. It is totally, radically unconstitutional.
Well, and at the same time, you have these states telling their constituents that, but you also have it catching on even more across the country. What is driving that? I mean, are all these people getting together on the phone, on Zoom, and saying, yeah, well, if we build a firewall, he won't be on the ballot anywhere?
Yeah, I just think they see what each other are doing, and they believe this stuff, Harris. They believe that they have the right to tell voters they cannot choose who the next president is. They believe that they have the right to say, you know what? He shouldn't even be on the ballot, even though he qualifies under all of the relevant rules. Let's be clear about this. The Constitution gives absolutely no justification for any court or official to kick Donald Trump off the ballot. None whatsoever. He hasn't been charged with insurrection.
Exactly.
He hasn't been found guilty of insurrection. The Senate acquitted him of incitement, which is the closest thing. He was acquitted of that. This is nothing but a brazen attempt to shut down democracy.
Well, Trump's vice president speculation is growing after his victory in New Hampshire, and names being floated include his former challengers, Governors Ron DeSantis, Doug Burgum, Senator Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy, and now Congresswoman Elise Stefanik and Carrie Lake in Arizona, and even possibly former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Voters share their thoughts on those top running mates if Trump is elected. Watch.
Elise Stefanik.
As long as it's somebody that supports the main person, you know, that's the most important.
It has to be definitely someone younger, a lot younger, because he's old, Biden's old, you know, the number 2 is really important in this election.
One Republican strategist said whoever he picks will be the front runner for 2028, so it is not an inconsequential choice. Senator.
Well, listen, I don't have any advice to give him, Harris, other than to say that I hope that he continues to run a strong campaign focused on beating Joe Biden and focused on doing what the American people want, which is shutting down this border, protecting us from the inflow of drugs, from the crime, from the cartels, focused on getting our jobs back in this country. Joe Biden's whole policy has been to make China rich and America poor. Donald Trump knows how to turn that around, and I think he's going to run a campaign focused on it. I think he's going to win.
So it's interesting. A little while ago, I doubt that you were able to watch because you're working on all those committees, but we were talking about another way that the Biden administration's policies are going to make China rich, and that is the EVs and the batteries that go in them, so on and so forth. And that's a big push from the current president this week. Okay, you were just talking about this. Republican senators working now, as I understand, on a border bill. And they're angry over a possible provision of it. It would allow 5,000 illegal immigrant encounters per day before a Title 42 type policy would even go into effect. Here's a bit of reaction yesterday.
This supplemental bill is a kamikaze plane in a box canyon with no exit headed for a train wreck. This bill is not designed to fix the problem.
We're hopefully going to have a new president. When we get a new Republican president, we should make sure we don't pass a bill that's going to impact their ability to secure the border.
Part of my problem with the 4,000 threshold that's discretionary, and then the 5,000 that's mandatory shutting down the border. And my first question on that is, well, how are you going to do that?
The Congressional Budget Office reported a record 860,000 gotaways last fiscal year. And yesterday, you, Senator, sent a letter to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, quoting, "The numbers tell the tale. You have utterly failed to secure the southern border." Senator.
Well, not only have they failed, Harris, this is their plan. They want the border open. Joe Biden now all of a sudden acts like he's just discovered there's a border problem. He created it. He wants this border open because this is his agenda to totally crash our immigration system. Listen, 186,000 gotaways last year. That's more than the population of St. Louis and Kansas City in my state combined. Over 2 million illegal immigrants across the border while Joe Biden has been president. And I'll just say this, if he's serious about actually tackling this, he could reinstate Title 42. If the Senate wanted to do something about this, we could reinstate Title 42. We could reinstate Remain in Mexico. We could close the border. But that's not what's under discussion. All I hear about this deal, it's just a way to normalize 5,000 people coming over the border illegally every year. There's no way I'm going to vote for that.
So real quickly, Governor Stitt of Oklahoma and several other governors last night were very active on social media saying that they support the state of Texas. What's happening for your governor in your state? What are you hearing?
Well, I think the governors all over the country understand that every state is a border state because of Joe Biden's policies. And I'll just tell you, in the state of Missouri, we've got drugs pouring into Missouri, Harris, from across our southern border that are going into every school district in our state. They're coming from Mexico. They're coming across that border. And I just say Texas, I think, is right here. The Supreme Court got this wrong. And I've actually introduced legislation that would allow Texas and every other state to enforce our nation's border laws. If Biden won't do it, let the states do it. But in any event, close that border. I mean, this is an invasion by the cartels. It is deliberate, and it is literally killing people in my state.
So tell me about what you have going forward and what you need to push that through. I mean, we saw 14 Republicans last week join a Republican-led resolution in the House to condemn the Biden border crisis. So what's it like inside the Senate?
Well, I tell you what we need to have inside the Senate is real action. And if you want real action at the border, let the states enforce the law. Texas wants to do it. Other states want to do it. We have a president who won't. So let's make it easy. Let's just say if a state wants to enforce the federal law on the border, let's let them do it. At least Texas is willing to do it. We all need to stand with them and shut this border down and protect our people.
Look, I think Governor Abbott gets it. It may be what he wants. Maybe he doesn't. He has to. Because somebody has to protect the people, the American citizens. Senator Hawley, great to see you today. Thank you very much for being in focus.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.